Hi guys, it's me, Joey.T.Cartoon.P. I wanted to do this quick vlog type video on a topic that I find interesting, specifically from this week. I wrote about it on my Facebook wall if you want to check it out. Boop, link right there. You can also like the page if you want, or if you haven't liked it before. I don't know. So the topic I've been thinking about in particular is this idea of the angry reviewer. And to be honest with you, whenever you go online, that's sort of this notion you get when you think of an online review, is this person who gets over the top and angry over stupid stuff like bad credit cards or old video games made 15 years ago, and even some things as obscure topics or dumb things like Chick-fil-A being closed at Sundays, you know? Things like that, people get over the top and angry and make reviews about it. And then you get characters like the angry video game nerd, the angry Joes. You get the old nostalgia critics. You get this notion of people getting really over the top and really angry. But now you look now and you don't really see that as much. And it does seem like there's more of a focus on analytical reviews and styles and less focus on that stereotype. Now, I think a lot of that comes from this whole notion of the angry nerd, and the person who surfs the internet in their mom's basements are these guys who have no lives and they're just stuck there and they're very angry with their lives and whatnot, but that's more or less a stereotype. I don't know. I think that there's both a positive aspect of these angry reviewers, and there's also a negative aspect to the angry reviewers, as I'm already mentioning now with the stereotype of the angry nerd. But to be honest with you, as anything, there is a drawback as well as a positive aspect. And obviously, these type of reviews were popular at one point, so why not talk about why they were popular? Now, when I first saw these types of reviews, I mean, I liked them. I mean, the early nostalgia critic reviews of Tom and Jerry and Batman and Robin that people still quote to this day are considered his good reviews. And I like them for that. There's, this sort of appeal to it. And I think a lot of it has to do with relating to the anger. Seeing something as bad as Batman and Robin or something as bad as that type of movie, especially for me as a fan of those cartoons from the 1940s being, made into a cash grab, is just utterly disappointing. So you take that emotion and then you accentuate it by, 1,000, you have an entertaining review. So for me, as I guess the psychologist goes, I just figured it's people relating to the emotion. And anger is an easily conveyed emotion that people understand. It's like people know that you're angry, but just by, even if you're very subtly just disappointed, I'm not going to mess with that person. I guess there's also this therapeutic approach to somebody just lashing out at something, and it doesn't even need to be irrational or not. Just someone just lashing out on something can be very therapeutic in some ways. Like if you really need to get your anger out, I just suggest punching a pillow, not actually yelling at a person. But there's a reason why people do lash out, and that's probably it. But something I found interesting about this topic as to why the angry review is popular is that I was reading an article in Wired, and coincidentally, it was the same day I wrote this post that I was mentioning before. In the article in Wired, it mentions how there's research that supports that when the reviewer is angrier, be it movie reviews or music reviews or any criticism in particular, people will always find the angrier reviews to be more effective because they view the person as being smarter. Now, I usually strayed away from that because to me, I don't know, I think that's kind of judgmental to say, yeah, a person's smarter because of his opinion. I don't know, opinions are just sort of open doorways for a person's subjective worldview. It doesn't necessarily mean them to be smarter. I don't look at I look at a very angry Let's Play and I don't see a smart person. I just see an angry child getting angry over a game made 15 years ago. Wink, wink. But yeah, it seems to show that research supports that the angrier reviews, or when the author is more or less vocal about his anger, it receives more positive feedback and people actually give a crap about what the person has to say. I can put a link to the article and I could probably find the research that supports this. I mean, I would more or less look at the validity of these researches, especially, you just find a new research article and be like, oh yeah, it supports my research. I'm like, well, was it a good research? Was it a good experiment to begin with? I mean, that's also something to consider. But I don't know, I think I found that tidbit to be interesting because I never really found it that way. I never really found that a person who gets angrier is necessarily smarter. And again, it's that notion of a person's opinion. It's nevertheless fact. It's sometimes rooted in fact, but it's more or less based on tastes and a subjective worldview. Obviously, a person who grew up in the 1940s in Brooklyn, New York is going to have a different opinion than a person who grew up in Sri Lanka in the 1960s. Okay, so there's also the drawback to angry reviews that I wanted to focus in, and this is probably the reason why we don't see them as often. When you get characters who create this angry reviewer, they actually kind of get stuck in a rut. And I myself kind of encountered that too. So, one of my first reviews was The Return of Jafar, and I noticed that one was actually significantly more popular than the other videos I put out. And at that time, I actually liked my Beetlejuice review more than I liked my Return to Jafar review. But it seems as if a lot of people, despite me not having all my facts straight, and the fact that the movie does have a popular appeal, people do actually like that movie, it seemed to generate a lot more hits than the other videos I posted. So, in essence, I found that to be kind of interesting, and it was me being very angry about this film that came out 10 years ago. And people have been always asking me, when am I going to review another Disney animated sequel? When am I going to be reviewing the Aladdin 3 King of Thieves? I still get that request even to this day, and it's just mind-boggling. I don't know. It's one of those things I just have to actually figure out how to do, or, live up to the hype and whatnot. But yeah, back to The Return of Jafar, it was me being more angrier, and honestly, I wasn't a fan of that video, but people seem to like it a lot. And again, it was this idea of me being angry. And the drawback to an angry reviewer is that if you make anger your gimmick, people are going to notice that you're just being angry for the hell of being angry, and it loses its genuineness after a while. Like, there's some reviewers who still play by the angry type that after a while I just get bored and I stop watching them. I like balance. One of my favorite online reviewers, Erod the Blockbuster Buster, he does create the angry reviewer, but once in a while he throws in an honest review to make up for things. And he's very vocal about his opinions, and sometimes his anger can get a little annoying at times, like blacklisting certain movies and getting mopey about Man of Steel. After a while, if you make anger your gimmick, people will start catching on. They'll know that you're just being angry for the hell of being angry. And this is probably why I talked about The Return of Jafar, is that, yeah, people have been asking me to do The Return of Jafar, a follow-up to that video, maybe do King of Thieves or another Disney animated sequel, and I just don't have it in me to do that because I don't make reviews just for the hell of being angry. I make reviews because I love talking about movies, and I love specifically talking about animation. It isn't necessarily all about me getting into a camera and going, over stuff. I like doing research. I like trying to formulate an interesting topic to talk about. I don't just necessarily get on camera to be an angry troll or whatnot. But I guess that's, for some people, what's popular, and because people don't see me get angry often, it's a different opinion, a different emotion that people can relate to, I guess. But still, I don't know. Other reviewers who do make anger their gimmick tend to lose my interest, and I think it shows when the Nostalgia Critic gave up the character for a while. Up to that point, he had a string of reviews that were only focused on being angry at nostalgic properties, and for a while I was like, well, can we go back to the times when you did more thoughtful analyses on things you liked, and it wasn't always just about you screaming like a little girl on camera? And lo and behold, when he did come back, he had these videos that were very well thought out and very well good. I enjoyed the editorials for the most part. And to be honest with you, that's where things started to get a little bit better. When he actually started being honest, started to be a genuine person, a genuine critic. So I guess there's a positive thing to being an angry reviewer. One is that it's an emotion everybody can relate to. And sometimes people can view you as being the nonconformist view that's different from the mainstream, therefore making you considered smarter. And then there's also the drawback. If you make yourself angry for the hell of being angry, you're just going to make it a gimmick. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. If you want to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and do so. I like subscribers. I like people actually giving a crap about what I have to say. And you could also like me on Google+. Not a big fan of the whole Google+ format, but you can like me there and my Facebook page. So thank you for watching this video on the angry videos. And be sure to like the video and share it and do all that fun stuff. Take care, guys.